My brother hasn't left his room in 3 months. I just found out the horrifying reason why. At first, Eric would stay in his room for a day or two, come out for dinner, then retreat again. It wasn't until a few weeks later that I realized he hadn't come out at all. No more family dinners, no late-night movies in the living room, just silence. I remember asking Mom and Dad about it, but they always brushed it off. He's just going through something, they'd say. He'll be fine. But he wasn't fine. 3 months passed, and I hadn't seen my brother outside his room even once. The more time went by, the more worried I became. I tried talking to him through the door, knocking gently and asking if he was okay. Sometimes I'd hear him respond, a mumbled, "Yeah, I'm fine," or "just tired." But that was it. No real conversation, no explanation. I started to wonder if he was depressed. It made sense, right? Coming back from college, dealing with all the pressures of finding a job and figuring out life. Maybe he was overwhelmed. But even that didn't explain the total isolation. Not to mention, I could hear strange noises from his room late at night. Soft shuffling, tapping, and sometimes, whispers. I convinced myself it was just him on his phone or playing video games to pass the time. But then came the smell. It was faint at first, just a musty odor that seemed to linger in the hallway outside his room. I mentioned it to Mom, but she just shrugged and said she didn't smell anything. Over the next few days, though, it got worse. The stench became almost unbearable. A mix of rotting food, sweat, and something else, something sour and metallic. I couldn't take it anymore. One night, I decided to confront him, even if it meant breaking down the door. I knocked first, louder than usual, calling his name. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. "Eric, open up. This isn't funny anymore." Nothing. Just that same eerie silence. My heart was racing, my hand trembling as I reached for the doorknob. It was locked, of course. I banged on the door with my fist, but still, no response. Panic started to set in, and before I could think it through, I rammed my shoulder against the door. Once, twice, and on the third try, it flew open. The smell hit me first. A wave of foul, putrid air that made me gag. I had to cover my nose and mouth with my shirt just to step inside. The room was dark, darker than it should have been. The windows were covered with thick blankets, taped around the edges, blocking out any light. "Eric?" I whispered, stepping forward cautiously. The room was a mess. Piles of dirty clothes, half-eaten food containers, and empty water bottles littered the floor. But that wasn't the worst part. In the corner of the room, huddled against the wall, was my brother. Or at least, what used to be my brother. Eric was thin, so thin that his skin clung to his bones, his eyes sunken deep into their sockets. His hair was matted, greasy, hanging limply around his face. His clothes, the same ones I'd seen him in months ago, were filthy and torn. But the most horrifying part was the way he was staring at me, his eyes wide, bloodshot, and filled with something I can only describe as terror. "What the hell, Eric?" I gasped, stepping closer. "What's going on?" He didn't answer. Instead, his eyes darted to the closet, and that's when I saw it. The closet door was cracked open just slightly, and inside I could see something moving, something shifting in the darkness. At first, I thought it was an animal, a raccoon maybe, or a rat that had somehow gotten inside. But then I heard it. Whispers. Soft, rasping whispers that seemed to echo from the closet, growing louder and louder until I could make out the words. "He's ours now. You can't take him back." I froze. My heart pounded in my chest as I stared at the closet, too afraid to move, too afraid to even breathe. What is that?" I managed to choke out. Eric's eyes were still fixed on me, wide and unblinking. He opened his mouth to speak, but all that came out was a hoarse, raspy sound, like he hadn't spoken in days, maybe weeks. And then, slowly, almost mechanically, he lifted his hand and pointed at the closet. I couldn't do it. I couldn't open the door. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run, to get the hell out of that room, but I couldn't leave him. Not like this. Summoning what little courage I had left, I stepped toward the closet. The whispers grew louder, more urgent, but I forced myself to keep going. My